So, in a lot of ways, I'm like any 25-year-old who's at a fork in the road. I don't even know I'm at a fork in the road. And I'm on a long journey to find my way back home, and I'm pretty sure that home is not going to be anything like the one I left. But here I am standing in the Tianshan Mountains, surrounded by 19,000-foot peaks at a mountain pass near the Chinese border. Behind me, 24 months of service in the Peace Corps east of Siberia. Yeah, that place exists. And as the northernmost Peace Corps volunteer, surviving 2 winters there are 100 stories I can tell you of that time, all of them in soot-covered concrete and in an isolation that makes you truly believe that there is not an external world outside of Russia. A little closer behind me is a summer of transition. Shaking off that time, coming home, it was my mountains and rivers meditation that took me to the volcanoes of Kamchatka, brought me to Central Asia, crossing mountain ranges from Kazakhstan into Kyrgyzstan. And here I was near the end of the summer, going toward a goal of climbing Peak Han Tengri, an easy 7,000-meter peak. But I had missed the last train of alpinists going to the base camp. So with my hand-drawn map and kind of John Muir style, some tea, several handfuls of buckwheat, and some garlic, I took off on basically a 6-day overland to try to connect with this team of alpinists so that I can climb Han Tengri. And here I was on this mountain pass, 6 days into the hike, feeling so strong and so virile in my 25-year-old solo hiker spirit that in this mountains and rivers meditation, I had been reading a lot of things, but I was reading Krishnamurti and got to this one place where he's talking about stilling the chattering mind, and I'm like so in the flow, I don't even know what a chattering mind is. I'm just in motion. So I buried that book beside a small creek the day before. And I'm really feeling like I'm moments away from becoming a bodhisattva or something. And I look before me at an epic view of the Inglechek Glacier, the largest non-polar glacier in the world. And I'm seeing Han Tengri way up above, but you know what? I've taken Krishnamurti so to heart in the spirit of the journey that for a bunch of reasons, that's no longer my destination. And I'm looking out where the glacier turns to river, and I put my pack back on, and I look at my map, and I start heading down, and the map says, now if you want to get back to base camp, which is where I want to get at this point, you should go upstream, cross the glacier, and go down on the other side. But as I'm walking down the hill and heading down this pass, and you know, the valley's way down there, these goat trails that head downstream sure seem well worn, even though no one's been where I am, I don't think. And being a Capricorn who wears it, I follow the goat trails. I am involved for the rest of the day in some of the most torturous hiking that only brings me about 5 or 6 miles downstream. But I am dropping down all the way to the river's edge, going along sandbanks until I can't go anymore, hoisting myself up some steep cliffs so I could take some more goat trails. We're way above tree line, but there are thorny bushes everywhere that are, ripping me to shreds. But I'm making progress, and I'm finding my way. I'm picking my way down because I know on my hand-drawn map there's a bridge down there. And I'm going to cross the bridge and make it to this base camp and be done with this particular adventure. Well, I get to a point of what seems like no return. The canyon really brings itself in. I can't see going up. I can't see going around. I'm a few days further than I expected to be in this trip, and I'm really down to my last bits of nourishment. And so I'm faced with a decision. Am I going to go all the way back through the hardest hiking I've ever been through, to get across the glacier and come back down the other side, which would probably take a day and a half or two. Where should I cross this thing? This glacial river flowing like concrete. It just has a few ripples there. At this time, I had no sense of cubic feet per second or anything like that in river flows. But it looked doable, and I said, aha, I'm going to use my smarts. I'll wait until morning and I'll cross, because surely the glacier will melt. And didn't I read or hear somewhere that the flow will decrease? So I stake it out to just measure how much further the river is going to be down by sunup. And I make camp and I sleep, and I have the most fitful night of sleeping. I'm just dream images are flashing through my mind, and it's like what you imagine experiencing at death, right? These images of your life passing before your mind. Well, I wake up at sunrise, and the river is the same. And along the way, I fashioned that evening a couple of walking sticks, because I'm going to need to charge through this, give myself enough distance, maybe 150 yards, just a few strong strokes through that middle section that's going like this, and I should be able to just zoom, eddy out before the canyon. Well, I'm ready. I've got my sticks. I step in 3 steps, no further than my knee. The force of the river yanks this stick out, hits this one, 4 bloody knuckles. I retreat. Okay, I cannot feel my legs, my hands bleeding. That force was incredible. I was in the river for probably 3 seconds tops. I am totally defeated. This river has defeated me. But I don't see any other choices. I don't know why, but I don't see any other choices. So I have to psych myself up, and boy, was this something. 30 minutes of jumping up and down, screaming like a wild man. I mean, I haven't seen people in 6 days, with the exception of one Kyrgyz mountain herding party that was about 4 days back. And there's I've just got to do it. So I psych myself up, I swear, I do what I need to do, and I go back in again. And this time, I've gone a little too far. I am in full, my brain is saying, retreat, retreat, retreat. But I went in a bit too far, and I can't quite retreat, and I'm trying to, and I'm getting swept downstream, and I feel my heels hitting the bottom, and I didn't quite make it. And I am on my back, going headfirst downstream in this slot canyon, and it is so unbelievably cold that really my limbs are useless. I can't even shirk off my backpack, and that cobalt blue sky is closing in, and all I'm thinking is, I can't believe I'm going to die in this river in Kyrgyzstan. I haven't even really told anyone where I am, and it's really stupid that I'm going to die in this river. And so that's really the mantra in my bodhisattva mind. As the sky narrows, it just becomes a very simple mantra. I'm dying. I'm dying. I'm dying. Boom! And then I stop. And the river is rushing over my chest. I see I've been lodged against a rock. I'm on the same side of the river, but I can tell I'm through the canyon. I see a soft shoulder there, and it's one rock, and then to the beach. And so I climb out. I crawl out of the river. I strip off my clothes. I take some things out of my backpack. I have one of those silver space blankets. I wrap that around me, and they really work. And I kind of, I'm in a space. I mean, I'm clearly in shock and hypothermia. And, I've maybe been in the river for a total of, I don't even know to this day, 30 seconds, a minute. It wasn't a long time. And I started at dawn, and by the time I actually get my head together and put my backpack together and say, I am going to make it downstream to that bridge that I know is on that paper map, it's like 12:30 in the afternoon. I've really kind of lost it. But I do that. I make my way down. Sure enough, in 45 minutes of pretty easy walking, I find myself at the bridge. I slump down and lean against the bridge. It's desolate where I am. And what are the transformative aha moments at this point? Well, they're the obvious ones. Just a recognition of the preciousness and precariousness of life, a profound sense of gratitude for some higher power that must have been watching over me. But even in that moment, there was a more specific recognition, and that was a recognition that the river was very much part of this story. The river was a major character in this event that just happened. River as high mountain sage, river as mentor, river as sensei, river as river as an intolerant element to arrogance in the heart and ignorance in the mind, but one who was also an arbiter and judge, and that on that day chose to spit me out with a request that I heard. And so as I sat on that bridge, just, I looked and I nodded at that river, which was joining at the bridge with a tributary and then was going down a cascading plunge, that I made a vow to the river on that day, a very quiet and solemn vow. And to this day, I think about, what if I had taken the other fork in the road, the one that would have taken me around the glacier, walked down to the base camp, met some European alpinists, and found a bus a day later down there. What would have changed? Well, I probably would have come back home and gone to graduate school and studied ecology and nonprofit management and community organizing. I probably would have been a successful contributor to movements and remained an activist. But I am quite sure that if it weren't for my relationship with that river and the conversation that we had, I would not have found my way home to the Yuba River and been the executive director of Circle, a leading advocacy group in California for river protection, nor would I be here as the executive director of International Rivers. There are a lot of factors that bring one to a place, but for me, that experience and that story and that river is in many ways responsible for implanting what it did that allowed me to be on the path that I am. So thank you for listening.
Jason, Rainey, ladies and gentlemen. Jason, I think that if you had gone the other path, you may well be the executive director of International Glaciers. And that's needed too.